Okay. You're live.
You got to tell me. Jeez.
I kind of
Hey guys, BigManComics.com. This is Gabe. Welcome, Big Man Comics Live. It's our last show of the week. Every Monday through Friday, 11 to noon, we are here, and I am drawing away, and you guys are watching in awe as I masterfully illustrate. And we just have a good time. It's an open floor for questions and discussions. Anything you want to know, anything you want to talk about, make sure you hit the like and subscribe while you're here. And welcome in. Welcome into my studio. It's like you're hanging out here with me. We can smell each other. I'm glad it's Friday. Although when you're a freelancer, there's no such thing as Friday or Monday or whatever, really. When you own your own business, it's just kind of like you work when you got to work. So I don't know. I prefer that. I know everybody's working for the weekend, as the song says, but not when you own a business. You know, that's just not it. So I've kind of forgotten that life. I don't really know what that's like. You know, have I ever really had a job? I guess the only time I had a job that was the weekend, where the weekend was the thing, was when I worked for DC Comics as a Warner Brothers employee. I worked on staff at Wildstorm in the building. It was a staff job, a real Warner Brothers job. And it was a Monday through Friday thing. So, but other than that, I'm trying to think of any jobs I've had that are that way, and I can't. I don't think I've had those kind of jobs. What's my work history? I've had all kinds of jobs, all kinds of stuff you wouldn't even imagine. It's funny, you know, you do this for a living and people think you were fully formed as this. And it's like, no, I've worked warehouses, a construction worker, a janitor. I've done all kinds of things, you know. So catering, all kinds of things. It's voluminous, my work history. So, but what are we up to today? What's going on?
Ramdog says hello.
Oh, Ramdog.
I just wanted to add, like, yeah, when you're doing things on your own, you lose track of time, and it's kind of weird. But not much going on.
No.
No. I don't know if you wanted to talk about what we were talking about earlier.
We can, but what is it? What's our point here?
What are your thoughts on it?
Honey, the audience doesn't
know. What it is I guess it's two former Comixology veterans are launching Neon Ichiban.
Neon Ichiban, okay.
And it's a digital comic platform where they're featuring digital remarks.
So this sounds to me like an NFT thing. This sounds like, okay, you're buying a digital comic, which I don't like. I'm against that. Comics should be printed on paper, and that's what they are. Digital comics are something else. I'm not sure what digital comics are. They're not comics, in my opinion, not in the correct way. Maybe that's an old man opinion, but I'm not an old man. So this digital remark thing, it's a you know, I'm all for trying things. It's a business strategy. If it works for them, hey, great. I would never be a customer of something like that because it's an NFT. That's all it is. You're trying to make something digital a unique thing, and you can't. You just can't. A digital file isn't unique, and it never can be by its very nature, because unique things are physical things. You can't look at, oh, my copy of the video game on my digital account is a unique copy. No, it isn't. It's just a file. So so if I understand the basic premise here, is they're gonna add a digital, probably blockchain, you know, categorized. Blockchain is going to keep track of the digital remark, the digital thumbprint, the NFT, the whatever, and then that's like, oh, well, this is my copy of this digital book, and that makes it somehow have a value, and that just doesn't track for me. That doesn't make any sense. I don't like it. Good luck to them. You know, if it works, it works. But I wouldn't be a customer of something like that. It's weird. I remember when the NFTs came out and people were buying all these pictures of gorillas and apes and you got to catch them all like Pokemon. And it was so stupid to me. You know, and I remember people getting in on the NFT scam and trying to launch it and make money. And it was just, you know, and the kind of people that did that, it was like, yeah, the kind of people that didn't shock you to watch them try and jump on that train. I'll say this, and I don't mean this in a snobby way. I'm just trying to be factual here. If you're good at this or whatever you do, you don't have to rely on gimmicks like NFTs and all that. If you're good at, for what I do, graphic novels and comics, if you're a good writer, a good illustrator, a good colorist, and you work with people that are good, you don't need the gimmicks. You know what I mean? Like, no, I can just make books and they're amazing. And it's just, that's all you need. You don't need anything else. You make the customer happy with that. You start getting into, oh, I gave you a digital, like remark, a digital NFT, whatever. To me, that's an apology. Like they're apologizing that the work itself can't stand on its own. And as I love, NFL should be a Hall of Famer, Mark Schlereth says, this is not a try-hard league. This is a do-good league. I don't want to hear that you tried hard. You need to be good at this. You need to win. So, I don't know. Not a fan of it. I'm not a hater, though. I wish them luck. There are billions of people on Earth. They should be able to find some customers that would like that, but it makes no sense to me. I wouldn't buy it.
I feel like I don't understand NFTs because why would you pay for something that anybody can drag off of their page on the internet?
Well, it's a fiat-based value, and and everything in life is a fiat-based value. Fiat, for those of you out there that don't know, it's a Latin word for faith, like our currency, right? Our currency isn't built on gold anymore since the 71 gold standard thing with Nixon. Our currency is fiat. It's money because it's money. That's it. We just believe it's money, so we believe it. That's a little precarious, but that's a whole other subject. So NFTs are fiat. And there's a little bit of literal backing of, okay, well, this NFT, it has the non-fungible token of the blockchain, right? So the blockchain has that information written down that is unique. It is a unique computer file, but so what? Like, what does that practically mean? Can I see that? Can I smell that? Can I touch that? Like, what does it mean that it has some code that I can't really read or understand in a simple way on the blockchain somewhere, identifying it as unique? Like, what does that mean to me as an everyday person spending money on this? And what it means is nothing. And we see that because NFTs have utterly failed. And they should fail. That's not a good concept, in my opinion. Again, if you want to try it as a businessman and it works for you, hey, congrats,
I that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like if you have a copy and I have a copy and I show it to someone and you show it to someone.
Well, our images will look the same, but inside the metadata of the blockchain is my code number and the bookkeeping of the blockchain.
Right.
So I have a different one than you in a digital, but like, who cares?
But that's my point. That's what I don't understand, because if I have a copy and you have a copy, but yours has the blockchain on it, mine doesn't, who cares? And how does anybody know? Like, I have to, as the owner of the one with the blockchain, you have to say, oh, but mine has the blockchain.
Right. And then, like, I can't see that in the picture.
Right.
Right. I can't.
So what if I said that then?
I mean, it is easy to prove who has the actual blockchain non-fungible token. That is easy to prove, but it's still just boring and like, who cares? Like I don't care. Like, the whole point of the drawing was the drawing, not the NFT aspect of it. So this stuff is weird. Maybe for future generations when they grow up and everything's digital, this would matter. But when you have people that didn't grow up with that, I think people who didn't grow up completely digital, which is pretty much everyone, even the younger generations, you don't care. It's hard to care about this. It's like when someone tells you a really long-winded story and it just kind of doesn't have a point. It's like, okay, thanks, I guess.
Right.
You got the NFT, you got the non-fungible token, blah blah blah. I don't know. The minute I saw NFTs make their debut like 2-3 years ago when they got hot for a minute, I just said they were digital Beanie Babies.
Exactly.
Now, for those of you that don't know, Beanie Babies went to the moon in the late 90s. Beanie Babies are cheap Chinese crap. They're little teddy bears. There's nothing special about them, but there's the fiat, the faith. There's this perceived rareness. And there is a rareness. They would make less of certain little stuffed animals filled with little plastic beads. They weren't beans, but it was like a beanbag chair. It had that kind of, when you would hear that little rice or bean or bead noise when you touched them and played with them and this and that. And they were little cutesy, tiny little teddy bears for kids. And they became super collectible for, like, I guess, middle-aged women who had nothing else to do. And they, like, blew up on eBay. Guys, this is all 25 years ago. And it was a craze. It was like the tulip craze, right, that crashed the markets over in Sweden a zillion years ago. It's like Florida land in the 1920s, leading up to the stock market crash in America. You always get these bubbles. You always get these crazes. It was the housing bubble of 2006, 7, 8, that thing. You get these bubbles where people want to get in on stuff, but it's like once everyone realizes to get in, it's over. You know what I mean? It's like investing and all that. It's over that period. And it's just suckers in the pyramid scheme. So NFTs and all that, in my opinion, they're definitely a pyramid scheme. It's like those, what is that? Amway and Quickstar and all those.
Yeah.
Like, you can buy goods for your home and this and that. And if you sign other people up to buy Amway goods, you get a cut of their sales. And if they sign others, a cut. And it's like, dude, pyramid scheme. And the only thing making money is the membership fees and the cut. And you just if you're a sucker and you join that, you just got to find 10 more suckers and hope they find 10 more, and on and on and on. Except the amount of people that are willing to be suckers is a very easily exhaustible list. So these things, they burn out right away. And you think you're pulling a fast one on people with your Beanie Baby, NFT, Quickstar, all this stuff is the same to me. So I hate to, I said I wasn't a hater earlier, but I do kind of resent it. Because it's not dishonest, it's not underhanded, it's not sneaky, but it's like really flirting with it. It's if your customer buys your digital Beanie Baby comic book, fine, but they better know that's what it is, or else you're kind of scamming. Again, this is just my opinion. It's not a legal opinion or anything. So everyone, keep your shirt on. I'm not trying to say that people doing this scammers, but that's how NFT and all this stuff feels to me. It feels like a scam.
Right.
It feels like taking advantage of people and getting them all hyped up, and then it's like, oh no, this wasn't.
Well, I think when it only works when you're at the beginning, at the top.
Yeah, you're the guy that starts the pyramid.
Then that's when you're like a believer. You say it works, but the people who are at the end of this, they're not making any money.
No.
So, Ramdog says early to mid 2000s, I was a web cartoonist. The model was like commercial radio, free on the web, pay for books. And he says, digi remarks are dumb.
Yeah, I don't see it working. Again, not trying to be a hater, just trying to analyze. I do not see this working out. Again, to make money in the world, no matter what you're doing, whether it's comic books or submarine sandwiches, just create value. That's all you have to do. Create value for your customer. Hey, you like juicy meat, cheese, lettuce, mayo, pickles, onion, fresh toasted bread, served to you with a smile quickly, with chips and a drink for only $1 extra. And even at lunchtime on a weekday, we don't have long lines. We turn and burn. We get them in and out. I'm creating value if I create a sandwich shop like that. Good ingredients, good prices, food fast, serve with a smile. Okay, what's the mystery? Or your sandwich has a unique NFT attached to it, and nobody else's sandwich has this digital color. Blah. Just want some turkey with mayo and avocado and bacon. Don't overthink it, man. Making money is just creating value for customers, clients, all of it. And I don't know. I think people are always trying to look for a shortcut, lose weight, grow more hair, get women, get money. And as my high school football coach had plastered to the wall on he had many slogan posters. And it's corny, boilerplate, but it's true. And there was one I never forgot. And he said, there's no shortcut to any place worth going.
Right.
Castellar
Daniel Garcia, he has a comment, and Comics Legend, I'll get to your question in a second.
Yeah, don't let the questions go too long, because people do come and go. They're on their lunch break, they're this or that, and they stop watching sometimes, and then we didn't answer them. So the questions, we've got to sometimes try and prioritize them,
Castellar Daniel Garcia says, some of my characters, Mr. Insight, Grim Graveman, and Miss Wildfang, are on Wattpad. I don't know what that is, though. So
no idea what that is.
I thought you might know.
No idea.
And Comics Legends question is, he says, "Hi Gabe,
Hey,
hope you're well.
doing great.
How has your inking process changed over the years? Do you mostly do your inking on an iPad or are you on a Cintiq? Do you sell your digital brushes?"
I'm on this iPad right here. I don't hate it. I wish I was on paper and pen and all that. But for the sake of the state my business is in right now, really getting a lot of momentum, I'm trying to go a little faster. Digital inking is faster because the editing capabilities are orders of magnitude faster. So as far as digital brush, I use one digital brush basically, and it's not mine, but you can get it for $5. It's Clayton Henry's Ink Bleed. It's right there. Clayton Henry is a great illustrator. I colored some covers and stuff he did for Valiant. I don't know if I colored them at DC Comics. Love Clayton Henry's work. It's clean, it's orderly, it's mechanical, but I mean that in a good way. It's a very unique and neat style, Clayton Henry. And he sells this brush, I think $5 or $10 on his Gumroad, Clayton Henry. Look him up. He's all over Instagram. I think he's on Twitter. Awesome artist. And the only other brush I use is this to do bushes and trees, and it's just dots spaced out, so I don't have to tick each one myself, you know. And so I don't like to use a lot of digital brushes because they look like digital brushes. I want this to look like real ink because that's how I prefer to ink. And when I am able to take more time, business-wise, I think I will just go back to regular ink. But I do think I'm always going to incorporate digital into layout and stuff like that just to save time. Like if you're laying out three-dimensional perspective for buildings and stuff like that, I think it would be best to lay that out on an iPad and then print it in light blue, and then you ink your own light blue and stuff like that. So the digital, it's like any other tool. It's just helping your workflow.
He said, "Thanks, Gabe. The inking's looking great."
Thank you. Yeah, I have a lot of fun. Clayton made a great pen. It feels so natural. It really feels like you're inking by hand, which is, what I've done for 30 something, 40 something years. So
Now, this might be too technical, but how do you make a pen on there?
Oh, well, you click open the brush library, you double click on a brush, and it opens this thing. And you can edit and make pens and all that. And there's a zillion things you can change. And you see all that?
Yeah.
There's so many things. And you learn what these are and you fool with them. And that's how you make brushes. It's very intuitive, this stuff. They don't expect you to have some sort of computer science degree and all that to use these tools. The Procreate software is really amazing because it's $10. It's not $10 a month. It's $10. And that's it. Procreate Dreams is another program they have. That's a full animation suite. It's $20. Now it's 2D animation, not 3D animation. It's $20. I don't know how to animate really, but I played with it. Super easy to use and understand. What I don't know about animation really is the deep level of understanding of the art of animation. I would have to, but I don't think that would take long to learn the squash and stretch that they do and all that stuff. I know the basics of the terminology and the concept, but as far as like doing it, I haven't done it. So, to do anything, you have to actually do it. You can't just read about it. So.
What page are you on today?
I think this is 105. I was working on this one yesterday. I'm working on another project currently. So the Tyrus stuff is a little bit slowed down for a few weeks, but that's okay. We're still going to have it crowdfunded in the late summer, early fall. And I'll be done with the entire Tyrus book sometime in mid-July. I'll be done with it. So, but yeah, guys, make sure you hit the like, hit the share. Don't be afraid to help us out. And we need you, man. We don't. This is your show. This is your channel. We don't do anything without you. None of this works without you. That's why customer service and creating value, as we were talking about earlier, is like number one for me, because I want to keep doing this for a living, and I need you guys in order to keep doing this for a living. So I need the likes, I need the shares, I need the super chats, I need the channel memberships, all of that. But I'm not entitled to it. Again, that's why you create value for your fans, your customers, your backers, so they feel good about forking over hard-earned money. They're getting value for that. They're getting good entertainment for that. So yeah, don't be shy helping me out here, because there's no doing this without you guys.
Right. This has nothing to do with the inking, but I thought it was funny because we're thinking about going to the Delmar Fair this season. But I remember when, and maybe you'll remember the story better, but we took the kids or no, your dad took the kids to the Delmar Fair. And
My dad's never been to the Delmar Fair.
I'm sorry, to the Greeley Stampede, which was
these are those big summer county fairs with corn dogs and Ferris wheels, for those of you that don't know.
Right. And there's the carnies and what we all think they are and how they live and stuff. But the kids told us that the guy was really grouchy on a ride, and they're trying to get like on a Superman type ride where you lay on your stomach, and the worker says, "Come on, kids, it's hot."
Yeah, we even made up a song about it.
Yes, they made a
sing
song
in the car, the kids. But yeah, he was like, I remember the kids told me there was like a 55-gallon drum with a big ladle in it, just filled with like pink Kool-Aid or something. And that was like for the workers to drink out of.
So gross.
The damn fairs treat them like farm animals. Here's your slop, you know. But yeah, they were loading onto some ride that was like half broken, dangerous, or something is how the kids felt about it. And the carnies yelling at them because they're not getting on the ride. And they're little kids, they're 8, 9. Come on, kids, it's hot. Like hurry up. And yeah, they made a little rap song about it, the kids,
Yeah, they still sing that little jingle.
To this day, like 15 years.
Right. But I think it's funny because as kids, we just jump on these rides, and now I see them and I just think like, oh my gosh, that looks dangerous.
Yeah, and some guy who's on probation who was half drunk assembled that Ferris wheel with 3 other ex-cons. Like, what's going on here?
Right. But I did see a Theo Vaughn podcast, and he was interviewing a carny, and the guy said like it was I think it was like mostly family run, and he said they have so many like state I don't know if tests is the right word, but they have to pass all these like permit rules and stuff. But the state actually comes out and looks, the state workers, and makes sure they're setting things up right and stuff like that. And he said they have to pass more tests and get more permits, and they have more rules and oversight than like an amusement park.
Well, we all know how good the government is at making sure things are done right. Yeah. If that's one thing the government is known for, it's having high standards of making sure things are done correctly.
Yeah.
Last year there was a terrible accident on one of those like dropper rides, the kind that just go up and then drop.
Yeah.
And a boy fell out, like a teenage boy, and died. It was all over social media. I think that was last summer.
I didn't see that. That's terrible. But now, that's what I'm saying. Now, as an adult, I look at it and I'm just like,
I wouldn't get on any of that shit. And like that's and I'm not afraid of it. Like if it was at Disneyland, but at a carnival, it's just like I'm sorry, I just don't trust that at a carnival. I just don't. The guy in the interview can say anything he wants about the government standard, this, that, and the other. Sorry. It doesn't feel right to me, man. These rides are being assembled and disassembled, every other week or whatever. No thanks.
Right. Castellar Daniel Garcia says, what are your 3 top comic book stories?
3 top comic book stories? I haven't bought a comic book in so many years. I went to the comic book store starting at age 12 or 13 every week. It was Fridays, then it was Wednesdays. The day changed over the years, new comic book day. But and they got so woke and so bad. I don't think I've been to a comic book store in a good 7 years, really. Like that weekly habit. I quit it years ago. So when I think of comics that I like, I think of older ones because just the new stuff just doesn't work for me. I know there's good stuff out there, but it's so hard to find it. I don't want to pick through and find it. It feels like a waste of time to me. It feels like there's too much nostalgia, so you're just repeating yourself. There's too much woke, and it's just like, so that's awful and not entertaining, irritating, and immoral. So the good stuff to me is older, in my opinion, and I'm sure that's a lot of people. I don't know. It's like the stuff that made a difference when you read it. Like you read it and it said something. I think Chris Ware, the Acme Novelty Library, he only puts out something like every 2 3 years. He's been making comics for almost 30 years. I think he's only made like 15 comics or something. He puts stuff out every once in a while. He's at the top of the craft. Everything by Will Eisner. I mean, that's why the awards are named after him. Alan Moore is a weirdo communist. Like I don't know him, so I don't want to insult him personally, but I've seen him speak about Trump and racist and all that just dumb stuff that people ignorantly say. He's a good writer, but it's funny. You get older and you analyze some stuff. It's like, wow, that was fun. And then you get older and you're like, wow, that was really evil and subversive. And basically trying to tear down my culture of Western culture and all that. It's like Watchmen, super good, super entertaining. But if you look at it, it's a hateful story. It's ugly, horrible people doing ugly, horrible things. Masterfully written, beautifully illustrated, very entertaining. But is it good? Is it good, like morally good? No. It's very crass. It's very ugly. It's saying just the ugliest, worst things about people. It's deconstructing. I mean, they've said that forever. It was the deconstruction of superheroes, and quite literally, yeah. But it's just that that college liberal, hey dad, you didn't really know anything. When you look back at Watchmen, you realize that's what it is. And that must be who Alan Moore is, because a lot of his work is that way. He is an amazingly gifted writer. It's insane. Probably the best writer in the history of comics. But, as much as I enjoyed Watchmen, now I kind of look at it like, oh, this is just communist subversion. Everything sucked and dad didn't know everything. That can still be written well. It still can. So I don't know. My favorite stuff. I don't know. I
Did you like the one? I can't remember the name, but it was on the Indian reservation.
Gout. It's pretty good, entertaining. But again, that's just such.
It was very dark.
It's just dark. Like, where's any goodness in this? Because the problem I have with modern writing in the postmodern age, the last, it's like the last 70 years, but it really takes hold in the 80s and the 90s and in the last few in the 2000s for sure, is there is no good guy. It's a very postmodern. Well, who's to say what's right and wrong? Morality is subjective. No God, no masters, no fathers, no nothing. And so when you have a book like Scalped, which is Eisner winning, super well written, there's nobody good in that. There's nothing to aspire to. It's one bad guy fighting worse bad guys. That's Deadpool. That's all
Right.
This stuff is ugliness. And not mine. In mine, there are heroes. They are heroic. They are something that you want to be. And that's kind of how it was supposed to be, this stuff. And that's how it was for most of humanity. No matter what culture you're in, a hero was a hero. But we have this plague of communism and socialism and all this, subversion, postmodernism, where they want to deny that there's such a thing as goodness. And I think that's to assuage their own feelings of how terrible they know they are. They don't want to admit it. So they're like, no, everyone's this way. You look at some just trash, like The Boys television show. I can't believe anyone watches that. It's insane. It's perverse. It's disgusting. And there's nobody good in it. So what are you watching it for? There's nobody that believes in anything good in the characters. They're awful people.
Yeah, I think part of the problem with these shows being like that bad, I don't know a whole lot about The Boys, but I've only heard bad things. I didn't even know it was on, but that's just because I don't know that kind of stuff. But that and now thinking back to like Game of Thrones and
Right,
how
Game of Thrones,
like
it's so well written. It's trash though.
Yeah,
it's
and
filth.
It was just the gratuitous sex in there. But when these are the norm, the new generation, it normalizes that for them, that yeah, this is this type of stuff that you put on TV. This is the type of stuff you watch in the family living room.
Right.
And it's such a bad message to make that normalize and okay it, because when they have children, those types of shows, the next generation, I think, is going to try to push the envelope on that. So then what? I mean, they're already having like, and Game of Thrones was just so bad. Like, will it become a full just sex video, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's it's real. Again, that's the problem that the conservatives are always running into. The conservatives, the anti-woke, is they are not, by and large, unless you find people like me that are the exception, good artists. And they kind of resent and mock the arts, the conservative anti-woke people. They resent and mock it, and that's foolhardy because it's like you need. Now, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not trying to make something more epic than it is, but you need warriors. I know. I don't mean that. But it is a cultural war. And you need skilled cultural warriors,
Right.
So when you want to decry the arts and make fun of them and get a real job and all this stuff for 30, 40, 50 years as a Christian, as a conservative, as a patriot, and those weirdos in Hollywood, blah, blah, blah. And now we don't have anyone to fight the culture war. So you have filth like The Boys and Deadpool and all this stuff and Game of Thrones, and it couldn't be more entertaining. It couldn't be, it's so well written, it's well acted, the graphics, the music, everything is top tier. But it's filth. It's bad for you. And what do we have to compete with them on the non-woke, on the moral side? Very little. People like me are few and far between.
Right.
So this is a huge, stupid, and I mean stupid, unforced error by conservatives. You gotta stop thinking this way. You gotta support. I see my buddy Matthew Martian. He's always out there. Support the arts. Subscribe to my channel. He's always saying that. Buy Big Man Comics. And then people go, you're a grifter. You're up money. This, that, and the other. And it's like, dude, getting our teeth kicked in by the woke artists because they're good at this. And we have so few people on the unwoke side that are good. And then the ones that are good, they're not being supported like the lefties. The lefties, they give each other money, they give each other jobs, they forgive each other for canceling, and they uncancel and they bring them back, and like they get it. And when it comes to the culture war, conservatives by and large are stupid, are dumbasses, and they don't understand what's happening. They don't understand that they're in the middle of a war for the survival of the culture. If you say that to the average conservative, they laugh it off like you're stupid, like it's a tinfoil hat. And it's like, okay, well, what do you think's happening? You're going to the school board and you're mad these books are in your school. Why do you think they're there? The culture war,
Right.
it's so weird. It's like I told you that one time. You gotta know when you're in a fight, and you can't well, I don't want to fight. Well, if you're in an alley and someone pulls out a switchblade, you no longer have a choice if you're in a fight or not. It's not up to you anymore. Sometimes people will attack you, and you can't just say, I don't want to fight. Because what if they're crazy and violent and they don't care that you don't want to fight? And that's what you're dealing with the left. And I don't mean YouTube, that literal violence. I mean the culture war. They don't care that you don't want to fight. They are here to make everything perverted and disgusting and attack and, yes, destroy Western American, patriotic Christian culture. They are here to destroy it. That's not a byproduct. That's not a bug. That's the feature. That is what they are up to. Yes, absolutely, it's what they're doing. My daughter went to SeaWorld yesterday with my granddaughter, and they watched one of those live shows, where they're running around and they're on jet skis and doing tricks with the animals, with the fish, with the dolphins. Ship. And there was a pirate ship and some stuff. But at the end of it, to defeat the pirate, they had the entire crowd say a spell. Now, my daughter knew better and didn't say it. And I said, yeah, whenever weird stuff like that happens, I just pray against it. It's like, that's the culture war right there. And if you think it wasn't some woke, Wiccan, pagan, witch, fat girl with green hair with shaved sides that came up with this and wrote this, and oh yeah, it's just part of the show. You don't know what's going on if you think that wasn't intentional witchcraft. You can call me crazy, but you're wrong. That's intentional. And they think it's funny and they think it's evil and they love doing this.
Well, they sneak it in there.
They sneak it in. That it's just part of the show.
Right.
We're going to have everyone do a chant and a spell. You think they're playing around when they do that? You don't know what's going on. And it's like the fact that damn conservatives and anti-woke will not support the arts the way the left does is infuriating. And they want to bitch and complain about what the left is doing to art. But then when it comes time to put your money down, put your time down to get skin in the game, oh no, No, can't do that. It's insane. You know, I see my buddy Matthew Marsden complain about this constantly, and he's so right. And go read the comments on his Twitter of the quote unquote conservatives and patriots who attack him when he brings this up. It's totally insane. That's why I'm so thankful for the people that support me. And yes, by getting out a wallet, yes, by subscribing and liking all that, we got to compete with these people. They are trying to burn down your culture, and they already have burnt down so much of it. Every time you see a new video game, a new movie, a new whatever, all of you out there that are not woke, you're like, the trailer's coming, the commercial's coming. You're like, oh God, what did they do to Superman? What did they do to Play-Doh? What did they do to Legos? What did they do to Oscar Mayer hot dogs?
What did they do to Lilo and Stitch?
They will do this to everything if you don't fight back. And like, if you don't want to subscribe and you don't want to, pay money to support the arts on the conservative side, then you're going to get more of this. There's an old saying I love: if you do what you always have done, you'll get what you've always got. So what you, and I don't mean you specifically watching, but what you conservatives who make fun of and won't support the arts and will not raise children to the arts, that's what you've always done, and it's gotten you this. So if you enjoy this disgusting, evil wokeness, feminism, leftism, communism, if you enjoy this, then keep doing what you've always done, and you'll keep getting what you've always got. It's a tough conversation. People don't want to have it, but it's the truth. And the truth is the only thing that sets us free.
Right. And you can't tell kids like, oh no, you can't watch that, and then not ever offer anything, an alternative.
Right. Oh yeah. You can't watch the Filthy Boys television show, but there's no show for you to watch. There's nothing for you to watch.
You get nothing.
Or there's a bunch of conservative, patriotic, or Christian people, whatever, who did not spend their life getting good at writing, drawing, acting, singing, dancing. So now watch this conservative media that sucks with bad acting, bad special effects, bad writing, bad art. Like, no, nobody wants crappy art. Nobody wants to pay for that, and they shouldn't. It's offensive to make bad art and have the temerity to ask people for money for it. Like, how dare you?
And it has to be abundant too. There needs to be lots of different choices, even on the conservative side, because if you only have two options and neither of those are like your taste of what you like.
What if they just had a good conservative Western and a good sci-fi?
Right.
You don't like either.
So then I think that's what immediately draws people to go watch what they like, and then it has a bad message. I was thinking about that when you were talking about that, because as a kid, I was not allowed to listen to secular music, but our options were the only three I can think of were like Amy Grant, Petra, and Carmen. Well, if you didn't like those, there was not much else to do. What, are you never going to listen to music?
Right.
And that's why, and partly also that's why those people become such superstars, because they're the only option. Not that they don't deserve it or shouldn't be it, but if those are your only options, right? And if those are your only options, what are you going to do?
What's the audience thinking of this ranking?
Oh, well, a couple of them, because the question started off with what are your 3 top comic book series? So a couple of people chimed in of what theirs were. Remdog1138 says Secret Wars, First Web of Spider-Man, G.I. Joe, Silent Interlude.
Yeah.
And then there was Castellar Daniel Garcia said, I love the Shadow of the Bat story, which featured Narcosis in Gotham. And then we've got some people talking about the weather, which I think is hilarious, because Heather, I believe it was Heather, was letting you know that it was 105 there already.
Oh, was it? Well, down here it's about 73 or 74. It's a pretty cool day.
You're too hot, Gabe. It's 69 right now.
Oh, it's 69.
Because I went and checked.
So, yeah, it's nice weather. We got up to a scorching 79 on Tuesday, which is, frankly, that is really unusual to get that warm around here.
And Diane Francis said they're having a heat wave here in Las Vegas too. And I find that comment funny because Las Vegas is hot. So what's a heat wave
And what's a heat wave in Vegas?
in
200?
Vegas?
Jeez. I love Vegas, but goodness, it's hot in the summers.
Diane Francis also said that she hasn't watched any of the new superhero movies. They're too woke. It's sad.
Yeah, you and everyone else, those movies are failing at the box office.
They are. Like when you see a new movie come out, a new superhero movie come out, you're like, okay, what did they do this time to ruin it?
Let me guess. The white guy's dumb and evil, the black guy's gay, and the woman can beat everyone up, right?
Of course.
I feel like I could write these in my sleep.
Comic book stories that are good. Castellar Daniel Garcia says Grundle versus Batman was good.
Never read it. Matt Wagner's pretty good, though. Pretty prolific writer, artist.
And he also said he liked the X-Men Onslaught story.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Marvel really, it's too many books, though. They're just trying to cash in on a giant crossover and all
that. Remdog said that Shadow will be public domain soon.
You sure?
I don't know what Shadow is.
The Shadow is a pulp comic book character from 100 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, I think these oh my goodness, what's the word? These IPs that are becoming public domain, it'll be interesting to see what people do with them. Kind of like
Superman will be public domain in like 32.
Somehow they keep winning lawsuits to keep it private.
But no, Superman will definitely be public domain within like 5, 6, 7 years. And Mark Miller, the very successful, prolific writer, movie producer, writer, comic book creator, all that, he says he's going to have stuff ready to go. So he's probably going to work on it ahead of time. His own Superman stories. And, Big Man Comics should do that too. We should just make some Superman stuff legally very soon. And, when the year hits 2032 or whatever it is, just put out our own Superman books. And I'll let you guess if I'm going to trash the woke and the communist and the anti-American with my Superman. I'll let you guess on that one.
Right. Well, that'll actually be cool because I think they're.
I can see it now. Superman goes after a publishing company that's publishing filth that hurts children and puts all these people in the prison they belong in. Oh, man.
Is this company CD?
I don't know. Could be Marvelous Comics.
Right. Remdog said, imagine a period Superman movie.
Yeah, that might be interesting. To me, those are the details. The meat of the story to me is the morality. Always. It's the only thing that matters to me in the story is the morality. What lesson are we learning? Because you are learning a lesson whether you know it or not. So you need to be very intentional about that as an author and a creator of comics. And the woke people they're very intentional about it. And you think you're just being entertained. It's just a joke. It's just a movie. It never is. It never is. You're watching me draw here. Guess how many of these tiny little lines I put on the page by accident? Not one. Thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of lines on one comic book page. Not one is an accident. When I type a script, guess how many words are an accident? Not one. There's always intentionality from the authors. They want to destroy the Christian West. They say it. I've been at the parties. I've been in the office with them. They hate it and they want to destroy it. I'm not crazy. I'm not kidding. I'm not making things up. I have a DC Comics editor, Will Dennis, that is your name. I will not hide your identity. Tell me and my wife to our faces, to the face, at a party. I don't remember what we were talking about, but it was something about, he hated, prude this, that, and people who didn't like, filthy, whatever. He said, these stupid fucking Christians.
Right.
And I just stared at him. They hate it and they are working to destroy it. You have to understand. That is what is going on.
I think we left shortly after that. It was.
Well, we left talking to him.
Yeah, I remember him saying that and just feeling like you're talking to one.
Yeah, except the part where
except for I'm not stupid, right? Yeah. Like, how dare you?
Right.
But if we would have said anything, we would have been portrayed as the bad guys, and that guy would have been justified for whatever reason. It was very, very presumptuous that we hate Christians.
Yeah. But, that's the bubble that the leftists always live in. Like, I can't imagine someone thinks some other way. And when they find out someone thinks another way, it's, well, they must be stupid or bigoted, because there's no way I'm wrong ever about anything. So logic would dictate the only way to disagree with me was being evil or stupid, right? Because I'm always right. Of course, right? We don't have to look into that. That is the leftist logic, the bubble. And scientific research shows that the diversity of thought on the left is, thinner than a human hair. There is no diversity of thought. So all the diversity of thought is on the anti-woke, the conservative side. It's why conservatives don't know how to wield power, because then when they get in power, they all start arguing because they have diverse thought.
Which right. You wish they could see outside of that.
Yeah, but part of being conservative is you're not a follower.
Right.
So it's much harder for conservatives to be in. It's funny. The side that glorifies father and patriarchy is the side that is not followers. And it's not funny though, because what being a man and having a father and all that teaches you is you're a man. Go and do things. Don't be a follower. Do what's right. Don't follow. You know what I mean? Go explore, go conquer, go overcome. None of that sounds like go follow and have safe opinions so nobody cancels you. So.
Right. But the thing is that the conservatives need to then see okay, yeah, we can have a difference of opinions and thoughts, but we need to unite in order to make it work.
Yeah,
and unite over the bigger umbrella. It doesn't have to be get down to the detail, but the idea, the general idea. But it's Courtney. It's Courtney's
oddball convention or something. Right?
It's Courtney's Fellowship of Oddballs. She's throwing in her temperature. She says it's 89 in Colorado.
Well, in the People's Republic of
Colorado. Yeah.
How did Colorado lap California in wokeness?
Right.
California was like the woke standard of the universe up there with New Jersey and New York and Connecticut and all these woke ass. Colorado hit the light speed button and flew past everyone in wokeness.
Right.
It's insane.
It makes me sad because
we lived there for years.
We lived there for 8 years when our kids were really young, and it wasn't like that when we lived there. And I would never want my children in school there now with the rules they're coming up with and what they're teaching and everything, and how we would just be outsiders. But it's sad. It's sad that we've watched it turn into what it is, because it is the People's Republic of Colorado. It's like they tried to outdo California, but not
try.
Well, they tried to outdo California so much that they ended up going, like you said, light speed ahead, because it's almost like a perverted version, if that can be said, of California. But it's weird and it's sad. But I will say I love the weather out in Colorado, Courtney. I grew up in San Diego, and I moved to Colorado. I think I was 22 years old, maybe 23. I could have already turned 23. And I had never experienced the 4 seasons before, because I had only lived in my little world of San Diego.
Remember, my brother dated a woman.
Oh, that's right. Courtney.
We'll never know. Is this you? We asked her for it, and she denies it.
She did deny it.
She's going to slip up one day and say, tell your brother to come get his shit.
Well, and according to her picture, Courtney, it looks like, maybe there's a filter on it, but I thought she had red hair. So maybe not. But I don't know.
Didn't tell me what Courtney looked like.
That is true. But I know your brother likes red hair.
Well, that is true. My brother does like redheads.
So, but no, I enjoyed living in Colorado, but it's sad what it's become. It's kind of crazy what it's become. I never would want to move there now, but I did enjoy it while I was there. It took me a minute to enjoy it, though. I had lived in San Diego County all my life. And when I went to Colorado, I went to a farm town and it felt weird. I was like, where did you bring me, Gabe? Because this is
Colorado's
not
a farm town. Colorado's
our city was a farm town.
Really?
Yes.
100,000 people with a major university. It's not a farm town.
It had
like
it had farming all around it. You had to drive 30 minutes to get to the next city, and it was farming in between. It was not San Diego. And it was pretty odd. And I remember when we were moving back to San Diego, I was at church one day and some people knew that I was moving back to San Diego. And this older gentleman, he tells me, real concerned, have you ever been to California? Because he's very concerned for my safety, I think for the diversity, and I don't know what he thought I was going to experience here. And I said, I was born and raised there. And he just goes, oh. But yeah, he was very
worried.
Very worried.
Very worried about something he made up in his head.
Yeah, like where did he think I was moving to? Compton? And even Compton. I went to a recorded podcast there for the Minimalist, and Minnie and I went and got tacos in Compton because it was right there, and it was all right. It wasn't someplace I wanted to be at night, but it was okay. I read, I need to bring it up. I read that IDW was publishing a new black and white Twilight Zone comic series. Did you hear this?
Yes. Strong black queens and evil white guys and super gay people. Let me guess.
To be honest, I don't know. I was just wondering how you thought a Twilight Zone would be, because I think it will obviously be like a Jonah Hex where every story is its own story.
I think the Monster of the Week concept that Rod Sterling mastered in the original Twilight Zone TV series is brilliant. I have zero faith that the people at IDW can do that because their woke ideology will get in the way. So there you go.
Where is IDW located these days?
We're located just a few miles from here, but I think they did what Image Comics did and woke themselves into a dumb situation and moved to Portland, man. So we could all stand around Portland and go, yeah, man, we're woke, we're really too good. I think that's what IDW did. They're no longer here. I think they're in Portland. Like, why would you move up there? Image Comics did that. Image Comics was in LA forever. And then Eric Larson took over running things for, in the mid-early 2000s. So they moved it up to the Bay Area where Eric Larson lives. And then I think Eric Stevenson, Rob Liefeld's old cohort, he finally took over. And then they moved Image up to Portland, man. So you got to fight Trump, man.
What was the comic book Eric Larson did? Or does he still do that one?
His formerly superhero book, which is now completely weird and pornographic, The Savage Dragon.
The Savage
was
Dragon.
A favorite of mine when I was like 13, 14, 15, because it was just over the top crazy punching and smashing cars and smashing buildings and crazy villains and superheroes. And it is quite literally an X-rated pornographic comic like for the last 5-10 years. So, I don't know what goes on. They're still superhero. I don't buy it. Haven't bought it in 15 years, that book. But Eric Larson is off the charts woke. He's like the Colorado version of comics. He's Bay Area woke, the OG woke. I didn't know. You didn't know this about Eric Larson in the 90s.
No.
He just did superhero stuff. One of the great Spider-Man artists. Loved Eric Larson. He's one of my heroes. And I don't know what happened. Trump changed so many people. Trump happened and people started doing different stuff with their lives.
Yeah, I think it's funny. You're right that he changed so many people, because I think some of these people, they're for things that they would never be for, just because it opposes Trump. And I just think that's so weird, because it'll go against their values, against their.
It's not weird. It's pathetic.
Yeah, but absolutely.
It's pathetic to be, all of a sudden you're just, if Trump says that you're against it.
Yeah.
Trump should be like, come out in staunch, like, favor of breathing. And you'll just see a bunch of people marching in the street with rainbow hair, holding their breath.
He should come out for woke comic books.
He should come out for wiping your ass. And then you'll just see him walking around all uncomfortable.
Rosado. That just means all red and itchy. Rashy, yeah.
He should come out for eating.
Okay.
And then what? They're just not going to
anti-eating.
It's so like,
oh, it'll help the weight problem in the U.S.
Yeah. I mean, it's so immature and stupid.
It really is.
Trump says up, they're like, that's racist. He says up, they scream down.
It's like that joke of the guy says that the girlfriend says, "Oh, you turned left with your ex-girlfriend," and she wants you to only make right turns from then on.
Right. It's so dumb.
One more comic and then we'll wrap it up. Her comic comment. Ramdog1138 said, "I have a Larson sketch. He inks overhand."
I sat next to him for about 2 hours in 2009 at WonderCon in Los Angeles and watched him do that. He holds a pencil like this when he draws. It's very interesting. Very interesting. But I sat there as he was inking a page of the Savage Dragon and just talked to him about comics and this, that. And he helped my coloring a lot. I brought him some stuff I colored in 2004, some samples for an indie comic I was working on. And he talked to me about like the saturation and kind of separating things, this and that, and was never the same after I talked to him. And I immediately got hired by people. But my wife will tell you, I'm a very good learner. You only have to tell me something once.
Right. Right. All right. Anything else you want to say before we log off?
Yes. Follow me on X on Big Man Comics. Make sure you're subscribed and hit the like here. You have to hit the like and share. That's how this channel works and grows. Think about getting a channel membership. You'll get stuff early. We'll put more exclusives in there as Big Man Comics grows. Facebook and Instagram, I'm Gabe Altaib. On TikTok, I'm Big Man Comics. And on X, I am Big Man Comics. And run over to bigmancomics.com. Get on the mailing list so you find out more about the Unstoppable Tyrus and Empyrean and Dean Cain and all the great books we do. And get yourself a copy of Dean Cain, All-American LAWMAN while you're there. You're going to be able to get Empyrean starting on my birthday, July 24th. You'll be able to start getting that then. The pre-order, crowdfund, and all that stuff will happen then. So other than that, no, have a great weekend, guys. We'll see you back Monday through Friday, 11 to noon Pacific, and on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific, I do my improv comedy movie review show. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.